があるとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。
To my motherfucking man, 50 grand, the alcoholic man, inject a tall can in his bloodstream if he can. Biggie Smalls, the 50 stroker, MC provoker, chocolate tie smoker. Huh? I like to max and Maximas and Acuras. Your girl butt cheeks, I'm smacking. Huh? The raw rapper, spine snapper with the little, cause on my lap. A shot, the ball, I ain't your fucking comforter. And if I ever fall in love, I bet I'm fucking her.
Episode 121 of that World Champion Sound Virtual Pros podcast. My name is Al, and with me, my main oos, Mike.
Hey, what's up, motherfuckers? It's Mike.
Today's topic, Survivor Series Dream Teams. The pros get their GM on and assemble some squads for the Fall Classic. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTL Pros. Hit us on iTunes, hit us on Spotify. If you want to talk some shit, join our Discord. We talk about a lot of things. And if you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. We got some questions, Mike. You mind starting off with that first one?
Yeah, first one's from Joe. Joe's supposed to. It's match stips and Chikara. Because our last episode was about match stipulations. Hello, boys and Discord snitches. Your choices for match stipulation shows how under the radar Chikara has been for the last, well, forever. Way back in the early days, they had a winner picks the loser's theme music match where DJ Skittles picked for the super spooky Blind Rage Copacabana as his entrance theme. Also, Chikara did a magic move deal where a random move would be picked, and if it was hit during the match, everyone won a prize. So I'm glad somebody did that idea, and it sucks that no one else uses it. Usually some junk that wasn't selling, but still nice to win something. Chikara also did matches where the loser was forced to wear a mask, and instead of having their head shaved, they got a bad haircut they had to keep for a period of time. My ideas for match stips also lean to humiliation or pain, like loser has to eat a bunch of ghost peppers or start a Twitch channel, something like that. I miss the days of Portland where they'd run shit like loser has to spend the weekend in the dunk tank at the local fair, or Tennessee would do loser wears a mop on their head, or loser rides a donkey down Main Street. Good times. As for Hawkins and Broski, they have tapped into a fan base where they are selling 4 of those Pro Wrestling Tees micro brawlers in a fancy box for $100 and are selling out in minutes. I think the print run was 250 units, then 250 of each as singles. The demand is there. That being said, I did pre-order just the Hawkins one. Stay safe, Joe, aka the McRib is back, and so am I. I don't know if the McRib is really back. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. That last bit about Ryder and Hawkins was referring to I guess the last episode we talked about how Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins have like very deluxe Super 7 figures coming out, and at that episode we talked about how it'd be crazy if they got released before the New Japan dolls that have been postponed since 2019. And I looked it up after the show, and it's pretty close. The Ryder and Hawkins are supposed to come out in February, and now the New Japan dolls have been pushed back to January. So it is possible these Ryder and Hawkins dolls somehow come out before the New Japan dolls. Outside of that, I gotta check into these, see if I don't think any of these like weirdo stipulations. I don't think they're ever like on TV or like on video or something or on YouTube. So I probably can't see these weirder ones, but I'm glad Chikara had used basically every single idea I said. So I guess they're a little ahead of the game when it comes to wacky stipulations.
That's so funny because I was actually listening to the Hawkins and Broski podcast a day or two ago, and they were talking about how the micro brawlers community is just furious because they're changing up the packaging. I guess these things were formerly packaged with like a baggie with like a cardboard header. And as someone that like has collected like Sofubi over the years, like I'm just used to it. And I mean, Medicom is like a multi-million-dollar company, and that's how they still pack their very expensive toys. But I guess this caused an outrage with the micro brawlers community. And it's weird to say that, but I guess that's the big drama these days in the toy world, at least the wrestling toy world.
They switched to those, or they switched from those?
They're switching from the cardboard headers to like these deluxe boxes, I think, from here on out.
Oh, okay.
And so people are pissed.
Yeah.
I might have misheard, but either way, I think the micro brawler community is not happy because there's like this new shine on their collectible, and it's jacking up the prices. And I'd be pumped about that all day if I just had like junk sitting around and all of a sudden it was worth like 5 times what it is now. Like when Travis Scott like brought Dunks back, I was like, holy shit, this is looking great for me right now. But anyway, people are mad about that, I guess. Next email is from Seagulls, titled "Plussing Up the Squared Circle." Hey, Mike and Al. How would you improve upon our current notion of the wrestling ring? PWU used to have a crazy 8-match that included ropes and platforms for wrestlers to swing on. See clip. For example, you could add trampolines around the ring like slam ball, etc. Here's a pitch. You've heard of the 4-sided ring. You've heard of the 6-sided ring. But hear me out. A 1-sided ring. Love, Seagulls, a.k.a. Dab Severn. You know what? I kind of did like that fucking box platform that went on top of one of the ring posts.
Yeah,
I think this was in CZW.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like the Hasbro ring where they'd have like the tab on top of the post. So I'm okay with that addition if you want to really fuck someone up. But other than that, 4 sides is perfect. I don't know if I can think of any other improvements. Trampolines, could do without that, I think.
Yeah, I think my only real improvement would be kind of that platform thing. I think just make it a little less obvious. Like, work the design into the turnbuckle part so it doesn't look like, hey, there's a giant platform for people to jump on over here. Make it like a little more inconspicuous so it looks more impressive. Because I've noticed watching a lot of kind of bad independent wrestling for the past few months. A lot of people, when they go to the top, they're not so good at it, and you know, that's not their fault. It's a fucking hard thing to do, but yeah. So just doll that area up a little better, so more people could flawlessly jump up there because they have more of a platform.
But if you go like the opposite way and you have like that half ramp that's like a Ninja Warrior, where like you have to run up it, and then like if you really can climb up it, like. It might make a difference with people that can fuck people up versus people who can't run up that ramp. I think I'd be down for that.
You know, yeah, 2 corners with the half ramp would be actually pretty sweet, I think. To have that, that would make everybody like a fucking flippy guy immediately. So, yeah, there you go, Seagulls. That's your answer. Some wrestling place, take this idea. You're gonna be millionaires. Next one is from, Daniel wrote in. I think you're supposed to write him back, and I don't think you did, Al. So,
Dan, I got you. I fucking got you, bro.
Next one's from Max. It says TNA. Hello, Al and Mike. I hope this message finds you in good spirits. This is Max from Columbus, Ohio. Sometimes while I am waiting for Pain Pigs to start, I turn on the Impact Twitch stream. It makes me realize how little TNA Impact stuff I've watched in general. Do either of you remember the first time you watched TNA? Also, off the top of my head, which TNA match stands out the most in your head? Rest in peace, wrestling otaku's grandmother. I wish his grandfather pulled out. I remember the first time I ever watched it was like right when I think I got the ability to download torrents, and like I figured out there's like a place where you could download an episode of TNA because it was still when they did it like weekly pay-per-views. And I remember watching it and being like, yeah, that's fine. Like, this isn't something I would ever pay $10 a week for. And, but I think I didn't start watching it like even somewhat regularly until around when Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe were feuding. Cause that was when it was kind of like an okay show. It was pretty good at the time. You know, I probably appreciated it a lot less, but it was pretty good. It was probably the all-time best era of TNA. As far as the match that sticks out, it is always the Jeff Hardy Sting match where Jeff Hardy was unable to perform because he's a little inebriated. And the only reason it sticks out so much is because that was like one of the very few, I think at the time it was the first one, like ever TNA pay-per-view I saw like live in real time. because I think that was like right around when it became normal to like do bootleg streams on the internet. And I was like just watching everything I could. That was a bootleg stream. And I remember watching that pay-per-view and being like, this is some weird shit, man. Jeff Hardy is obviously very fucked up. So yeah, that one always sticks out the most.
I want to say, I mean, for sure, I was first hip to TNA when they had the weekly pay-per-views, when I had the Scrambler. And I want to say I did see when there was Breasticus on TNA. I was pretty early on it, I feel like. Oh, Sonny Siaki. Yeah, Sonny Siaki, right? Is that the fake Rock?
Yeah.
I remember seeing that guy and I was like, man, that's the fake Rock. That sucks. And that was my first introduction to TNA. The match that sticks out the most to me, it has to be when they decided to go head to head with Raw on Mondays, right? And then they had that red cage match, and then Homicide. He was supposed to do something where he had
stuck.
to climb out or something like that, and it was just like he couldn't do it because, like, I mean, after a while, your arms and legs get tired to do this fucking thing that he was trying to do, and it was just like a really awkward 5 minutes to watch. And I think that was the nail in the coffin. Also, I think who's the former dude that like squirted like the lotion all over
Orlando Jordan.
There you go.
Yeah.
What an episode of TNA. Maybe we got to revisit that for the Patreon.
Speaking of that, I don't know. I can't remember if it was the same pay-per-view as Jeff Hardy or is the other one that I saw at that same time period. But not Jeff Hardy, Billy Corgan did the intro. It was the all, yeah, it had to be a different one because it was the all steel cage episode or pay-per-view. And he did like a riff on one of his Smashing Pumpkin songs, and he ended it in with "We're all just rats in a six-sided cage" or something like that, and it was like the worst. It was like the worst thing ever, and I was just like, I can't. TNA is wild. I gotta start watching this more. So yeah, that's up there with Jeff Hardy and Sting too.
Just talking about TNA, I feel like we should revisit it.
Yeah, I mean that stuff. It's better than probably people remember it, but they just did a lot of stupid shit. You're next, Dan.
Yep. It's me, right?
Yep.
From Daniel. I'm sorry, dude. I'll get back to you for sure. Titled Shaq Fu. Hi, Virtual Pros. Fantasy book, the Shaquille O'Neal death match your heart truly wants. Lots of love, Daniel. AKA Shaq really got the one bad Nate dog hook. AKA goddamn Jade Cargill fine as shit. I thought about this a lot. And I can't fully book my dream Shaquille O'Neal death match, but I did think of my dream spot, and it goes like this. Of course, it has to be a basketball hoop, right? And he body slams somebody underneath that basketball hoop, and then he dunks it. And then, like, old school 1992 style, like, the glass just shatters all over him and his opponent. That's my dream spot.
My dream is just to have him actually have a match. I don't think this is really happening. I will leave it when I see it. If you guys don't watch AEW, this woman named Jade Cargill came out, who's not like a regular character, and she cut a not so great promo saying she had like some big giant to fight Cody, and then at the end she says, "Oh yeah, his name is Shaq," and then everybody's like, "Oh man, Shaquille O'Neal is coming for Cody Rhodes," but I don't know, man. It could be anybody named Shaq. I mean, obviously you think giant and Shaq, but man, I'm pretty sure when they were trying to build out that Big Show Shaq match, the real reason Shaq didn't do it is because he refused to get in shape, because he's not in ring shape, as they would say, I don't think. But I don't know, chose during the quarantine, Shaq has just been fucking getting swole. I don't know. It seems really unlikely that Shaq chose all times a quarantine to get in super good shape. But so any Shaq match that actually happens will be my dream match. It doesn't need to be a death match. I just want to see Shaq wrestle somebody.
I also did find the omission of saying O'Neal very interesting. Yeah. So I'm fully expecting like Shaquille Barrett from the Buccaneers to show up and just pissing everybody off. That would be fucking sweet.
Yeah, I'm not going to get my hopes up until it's actually happening. That's for sure. Next email is from Mark. Yeah. It says Survivor Series Dream Team. 92 would have the coolest team: Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Bret Hart, British Bulldog, and Mr. Perfect versus Razor Ramon, Lex Luger, Ric Flair, Sid, and Shawn Michaels. You guys make my drive to work way easier. As a fellow Filipino, Mark, it is, of course, my way to find other like-minded Filipinos. So, who is more embarrassing representation of our peoples, TJP or Kona Reeves? Well, I am not the Filipino on the show, but I will say it's always
Come on, Mike. Honorary, dude. You've spoken Tagalog many a time on the show. It's fine. You can answer this.
But I will say it's always nice when people say the show makes their something to something easier or something like that. Because, I just feel sometimes I just feel like we just do the show and no one listens anymore. Like we're just talking to ourselves every other week. So it's always nice to hear we actually still cheer people up. I didn't know Kona Reeves is Filipino, but TJP is always going to be my answer. 100,000%. I think, he's one of the worst people in wrestling, I think. So it's pretty easy for me.
Fucking Mikey, he eats Jollibee spaghetti, dude. That's way more Filipino than I could ever be. It's horrifying. Yeah, TJP, man. Friend of the show, Brady, he sent over a screenshot, of a tweet that he had made. And it goes a little something like this from TJP. Here's the truth. There are people out there, myself included, that don't think anyone is a gamer unless they are core, in quotes. I would never in 1,000 years waste my time playing a single player game as a core gamer. People that play single player games are not really gamers to us. The fact that you spent like time out of your day to say something like that is fucking like obscene, dude. So I don't think Kona Reeves could ever be something like that ever in terms of just like being a cornball. So TJP forever, number one shame of mine.
So wait a second, did you know that Kona Reeves is Filipino?
Oh yeah, dude. Look
is he 100% Filipino?
I actually don't know if Kona Reeves is Filipino. I think he's from the islands. I would
because I was going to say I didn't know if it was like a Kofi Kingston situation where they made him be Jamaican and he wasn't Jamaican, and if they're making Kona Reeves be Hawaiian instead of Filipino, because that would be that would be a cancelable offense these days, I think.
I want to say that like someone DM'd us and they said that they were cousins, and the guy that DM'd us was like completely Filipino, so that's where I'm kind of like putting this bet on that he is full.
Oh, I think it might be time to cancel NXT. Send some emails, that's for sure.
Kona Reeves, let us know, man. If you have any questions.
There's one more. There's one more email.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Let me pull that up.
It's from DC.
DC, for sure. Why can't I fucking... Man. I got it. This is from DC, All-American, titled Yeah. What's up, fellas? DC here, a.k.a. Samoa Joe Rogan, a.k.a. Ray Allen Iverson, a.k.a. Elizabeth Warren Sapp. I like DC's takes on AKAs, by the way. They're cool. Al, any updates on your relations with the Michinoku Widows Association since COVID started? We are looking for some uploads. Mike, what are your plans for Thanksgiving? Are you going back to New York, or are people coming to Chicago? Man, DC, that's so funny you bring that up, because like I was organizing my tapes the other day and I was looking at my transfer cable. So maybe soon? I don't know, because I do have a lot of good M Pro on VHS that I know, like, it's on the internet, but, like, it's not easy to find. So hopefully sooner rather than later with regards to some cuts, exclusive cuts for the YouTube.
I don't know if DC is trying to bait me into a trick question, or I'm saying I'm going to travel for Thanksgiving, and then
that's what I was thinking. You having people over, Mike? Huh?
Yeah, no, I am not DC. I'm a very good American, and I'm not doing any of that shit. I wouldn't have anyways. Like, even if anything was fine. Thanksgiving's whatever to me. It's not really a big thing. I actually enjoy not having to be in close proximity to my family, not because I don't want to see them, but I like being able to eat my own food for Thanksgiving. It's really nice for once. So I've been really enjoying my Thanksgivings in Chicago.
This might be the first time we don't do turkey. Like, I've really been pushing for like a seafood like thing. Because turkey, for the most part, is not my favorite thing, and it's fucking hard to make.
My girlfriend was trying to get some seafood going, and I was like, I was kind of the one who shit on it this year, but I think we're going to do seafood for Christmas instead.
Dude, I watched this guy. He made a crab au gratin, and I can't stop thinking about it. Dude, he fucking put like all the potatoes and cheese like and chives into his shell with the crab meat, obviously, and the roe. And I'm like, fuck, dude.
You know my feelings on
on
fish and cheese, but that does sound pretty good. I would definitely want to try that.
There you go, man. I'm gonna convert you to the fish fillet by the end of Vrtl Pros, dude. When was the last time you had one?
Oh God, man, I don't know. That's probably like fucking 7 or something.
I mean, I know you're like a noted fish stick hater. I fucking get it. But like, come back home one time, Mike. I think like, I think the result of that would be like, you know what? It's not my favorite thing, but it's not bad.
You know, once we get out of this fucking shit we're in right now, I gotta stop taking life for granted. I'll try a fish fillet again. We'll get out of this prison, and just be like, I gotta live. You know, you only live once. I gotta try the fish fillet. So I'll try it once we get out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We got him. If you want to participate or ask us any questions, hit us at vrtlpros64@gmail.com. Well, I have a pretty stacked two-man scramble, Mike, so I hope you're buckled in. My first one, and I don't know if I've asked this on the show. I want to say that I haven't, but it's been something that's like been on my mind like for months now, at least. And this is for the ECW historians. For whatever reason, I was looking at an ECW playlist on iTunes, and it had all the hits. It had your Thunder Kiss 65s. It had Natural Born Killers. It had all that shit, right? But there was an edition that had me kind of like, they played this, and it was Tony Braxton, You're Making Me High. And, you know, I can't really see Paulie Dangerously, like, listening to Tony Braxton. It was like, yeah, let's set this to Beulah dancing. Or what if it's a highlight of Sabu doing, like, some high-flying maneuvers? So if you know for sure that they used Tony Braxton's You're Making Me High during ECW TV, please let me know. And if you can get me the clip, I'm PayPal ready. Like, I want to see this fucking in action if it did happen. So I guess my question for you, Mike, is do you think this happened? Or is this like a mistake on the person who made this ECW playlist?
You know, I don't know if it's the same playlist, but I ran into something like that a little while ago too, where I was like looking at the songs and going, man, I do not remember them using most of these songs. But at the same time, I mean, they did use a lot of the songs in those little interstitial parts where they're just showing stuff for upcoming shows. So yeah. I don't know. I was like, deep down, I'm thinking no, there's no way they ever use that song, but I would not bet on it. It's not like a sure thing to me. Because there was a lot of those parts that, like, obviously I don't remember. I mean, there's some songs from those parts that will stick with me forever, but they're more the ones that were used more than once. But, yeah, I can't think there's like some real weird examples I saw on there too, where I was just like, I can't believe they would use this. I mean, I don't know if they had different music on, like, because they had all those different RF tapes, and you know, I did see all those. Maybe they use different music on those. I don't know. So yeah, it is a good question if anybody out there knows if they actually use Tony Braxton, You're Making Me High.
I mean, the playlist seemed fucking nails. Like, it had LL Cool J's Phenomenon, and I remember that fucking tape commercial like it was yesterday. So like, the info seemed pretty good. So I really want to believe that Paul Heyman was like really feeling that Tony Braxton cut one day and was like, set this to Sabu flying around. Would be sick. My second one is The Undertaker. He is apparently calling it quits this month at Survivor Series. But before then, he's, I guess, presumably doing some sort of press tour, I assume. And it's starting off with an appearance on the Hot Ones. How do you see this playing out?
I used to watch every Hot Ones religiously, but as soon as they went under quarantine, I stopped watching them because they're weird. And actually, like the last couple seasons before that, I haven't been into because it's become like super famous people, and they're obviously never in any danger of eating anything that hot. Like, they're putting like one drop of sauce on all of these wings now, and it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't fucking want to, like, I hate listening to famous people talk about anything. So it was more cool when it was like rappers that are coming up or just like weird art people. And now it's just, you know, it's just fucking very famous people. Like, I don't care what Ben Affleck is up to or anything like that. So, Undertaker one I'm a little interested in, but again, I just think the show is so watered down now that, it's not going to be great. If you guys follow The Undertaker on Twitter, his Twitter handle is Pissed Off Taker. He shits his pants a lot. So, I mean, hot sauce and shit in your pants go hand in hand. So I may tune into my first Hot Ones in a while just to see this. Like I said, I don't really expect much. My expectations for Hot Ones now is so low.
I loved the Sasha Banks episode. I thought that one was pretty sweet.
Yeah, but even that one, that was like, I mean, Sasha Banks was wrestling famous at that point, but it was still like, this is like a weird person to have on the show. But yeah, now it's just like super famous people. I don't fucking care.
You think he dresses up?
I didn't think of that because I forgot. I think if he was in studio, there would have been a chance of it, but I'm assuming this is another like virtual one. So there's no way he's dressing up in his fucking living room.
I hope he does. My third one. So as a lot of you know, I have just turned full card degenerate. And I have a review of the newly released 2020 WWE Topps Chrome. You can find this at your local retailers. Maybe. Cards are so hot these days that people are buying anything that's on those shelves. So if you find it, I think my overall review is that I recommend it. There are some pretty hot cards in there that go for a good amount of money. I know Rhea Ripley's like pulling like a LeBron James these days, and same for Alexa Bliss. I think I sold a rookie Rhea Ripley for like $40 or $50 off the top. So, it is like fucking, playing scratchers for the most part, but one of the inserts that they have, is something called fantasy matchups. And, this is the one that really struck a chord with me, Mike. So I'm going to run through 10, of these cards that Topps had made, with the idea that wrestling fans have been dreaming about this. And you let me know, if these matchups really have you salivating to watch these things if they ever happened. The first one I had picked out was Batista versus the Ultimate Warrior. No. Have you ever thought about that match as a dream match in your life?
No, definitely not.
Okay. How about a Drew McIntyre versus Booker T?
No. God, no.
How about Ravishing Rick Rude versus Robert Roode? How about that one?
Oh my God, man. Come on.
They're both Rudes.
They could have did so much better. Come on.
Well, that kind of just proves my point, that these inserts are pretty ass. I mean, there are some pretty cool cards. Like they had Bret Hart versus Daniel Bryan and Andrade versus Eddie Guerrero, which I could get up for. But other than that, I think that's the only mistake that they had made with this set. But I do think it's fun. It's reasonably priced, I think, for the most part, when you compare it to basketball cards in 2020. Any thoughts about the Chrome set, Mike?
Yeah, actually, I bought a box of these, a blaster box of these, because, just want to see what the hubbub was about. And as a person who collected cards, back in the day when I was a kid, I could see the appeal these days to this shit. I think it's a market that's probably definitely going to eat itself, like, pretty quickly. I don't think it's a sustainable thing, but I will say, like, how detailed the cards are and like how ridiculous every single card is. Even the base cards are kind of ridiculous. It's kind of, and it appeals to, I do collect records, and I've never was the kind of collector to be like, I need every single different color vinyl in every press. I was never like that, but there are people like that. And that's kind of how these cards are based, where it's just like, it's basically the same 100 card set, but there's like fucking 8 different versions of a few cards. And so yes. I could see that appealing to just collector people who have that itch. The one rare card I got is a Road Dogg card, which is, great. He's a great guy who's had so many great opinions. He had to leave Twitter because he just put too many great opinions on there. And it's wild because the card is, it's this fucking 79th variation of the card, but it's like 2 of 5. And that is crazy to think I own something that there's only 5 in the world of, even though it's virtually worthless. Like, I mean, I could get, a few bucks.
It's not, dude. It's not. Your blaster's paid off and then some with that card. I guarantee it.
But it's still cool to just like, if you're a kid, like, I mean, I don't think kids have the attention span to collect cards anymore. But I mean, if I was fucking, if it was like this when I was 9, and I could just pull like a Don Mattingly or a Matt Noakes, to have like Matt Noakes 2 of 5, I'd have been like, holy fucking shit. So that's cool. It's like, I think it's a cool thing. And obviously it gets very expensive. But I get it. I get it as far as, these times where we have to find entertainment maybe that we wouldn't find in other places. It's a fun thing.
Oh, I am for sure trying to get the Io Shirai Rainbow. I think I'm like maybe 2 or 3 colors away. There's a 1 of 1 gold that I am not going to shell out for, but like there's a black variant, there's a gold variant, there's an orange one that I'm working on right now. But yeah, dude, I'm a degenerate. It's pretty shocking. My last 2-man scramble topic. While we were on a little bit of a break, the trailer for AEW, the video game, that dropped, and it's about like a minute long, and it highlights Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, and Hikaru Shida. And I think my big takeaway was that like the animations are very Aki-esque.
Yeah.
And the character models look pretty arcadey, almost like in the vein of a WWE All-Stars, which I can, take or leave. I'm not really obsessed with having these character models look hyper realistic at all. As long as the game is fun, like I don't care what they look like. I think the biggest bullet point they were pushing was that they were listening to the people that wanted to relive the WWF No Mercies and Vrtl Pros. And I guess Hideyuki Iwashida, he was the director of these games. He's going to be participating in the development of the AEW video game as an advisor. So after seeing that trailer, Mike, 1 to 10, what's your excitement level for it?
I'm fairly excited. I don't care about the trailer. I know that is not going to be any of the final product. That's something somebody made on a fucking computer. They don't have any playable like footage at this point. But it's probably a concept, and that's cool. I think everybody involved is a big enough nerd that I have faith in it not being completely terrible. I think if I had any concerns, it would be that maybe the gameplay is great and stuff like that, but maybe there's not enough bells and whistles for me to, completely love it. Like, if they just put out a game and it has good matches, like if they put out something like Fire Pro where there's not really much else to do besides wrestle, but it wasn't like the nerdy level of detail of Fire Pro, then it's probably not going to be good. So I think it has to have a good story mode, which, I don't know if they could achieve that. It has to have good create a wrestler. I could see them putting some time into that, but yeah, I do think it's going to be a great game gameplay wise. So I'm pretty excited. I just worry about what the bells and whistles will be.
Yeah, I was pretty pumped after seeing the trailer as well. I mean, when I saw that it was Yuke's doing it, I was kind of bummed out for sure, because none of those 2K games before the new person took over, which was 2K, I think, they never really did it for me. So I hope they do lift that Aki engine. It doesn't seem that hard to do. Just make the wrestlers run 8 ways and have a fucking strong grapple. But yeah, like you had said, I think there needs to be a really strong creator wrestler component, and I think online has to be super good as well. Like, what good is that game in 2020?
Yeah, if
I can't defend my Doggo Pro title against you or anyone in the Discord.
Yeah,
so, I'm walking into this game optimistically. That was my last topic.
Okay, so that was part of one of my topics too, and I had like a big, complete video game section. So I'll just go there. I'll just chime in. So I was going to mention that. I was also going to mention in that little special they did, they previewed 2 other games, both iPhone games or mobile games. One of them was a general manager game, and we caught wind of that before they did the preview. And I was personally hoping it was going to be like as like detailed as like Football Manager, like the soccer simulator, or EWR, one of those games. And I was like, oh, it's going to be like super nerdy because of the people behind it. But it seems to be a little more casual. It looks more like, I think that game is called Retromania or 80s Retromania or something. 80s Mania. There's some game on mobile where you like collect cards and you book shows with cards. And it's a pretty fun game. And it seems like the AEW version is like a little more involved version of that. But the real head scratcher is for some reason they're making a casino game, which is, I guess, and even in the special, they're just like, we want something you could play now. And Nintendo does this all the time too. They're just like, after this is over, there's going to be a new game. So I was like, oh, that's so cool, even though it's a stupid casino game. And then they show the trailer and it's like coming this winter. And it's just like, dude, you're trying to make us wait for like something where we just play blackjack on our phones. Like this is like something that's on like, a fucking computer from 1992. It's like, I don't know. They try to make a big deal about that. So now I'm just like expecting this to be the greatest casino game ever, but it's not going to be. It's just going to be corny. But Al, do you have any interest in, I don't know what else traits are when it comes to mobile games. Do you have any interest in these silly mobile games?
No, not at all. I am curious about the casino game though, as a gambler. Like, do you think AEW core fans gamble at all? I don't think so. And so I feel like, they're going to try to make this casino game that appeals to wrestling fans. Like, are you going to be able to bet on like the Nielsen ratings for shows? I don't know how they're going to pull this off. So I guess there is a little bit of curiosity for that. In terms of the booking game, not really. I mean, I did play like, was it TEW?
Yeah.
Total Extreme Wrestling. That was back in the day though. And I had my fun with it, but I don't think you can make a game and get away with the things that those games get away with because there's no licenses at all. So my hopes aren't that high, but I mean, if it's good, like I wouldn't mind playing it. But I feel like whenever I played mobile games, it was like on the go. And of course, these days I'm not going anywhere. So I would just rather play PS5 at this point.
I definitely have a very bad feeling that both of these games are going to be like the craziest in-app purchase games ever, and that's why they're doing a casino game
for sure. Yeah,
because they're like, man, we fucking fleece these guys out of these horrible T-shirts all the time. Let's just make this fucking gambling game where you have to in-app purchase tons of gambling virtual currency, and we'll just be millionaires. So I have a bad feeling that's why they're doing a casino game. Speaking of portable games, another thing I wanted to mention or talk about several episodes ago and just kept forgetting is that Mario 35 game that came out for Switch, the free game that's kind of like the Tetris game, but with Mario, where it's kind of a battle royal. And I know Al was super into Tetris, and I have not heard him make one peep about this Mario game. Do you hate this game, Al? What's the deal?
You know what's funny is that I have not even sniffed that game because the only game I've played since this whole thing started, aside from The Last of Us 2 and the Final Fantasy VII remake, it's a Switch game and it's fucking baseball, Super Mega Baseball 3. That is the only game I fucking choose to play. And I saw that a lot of people have been playing the Super Mario game, but I'm just not in the mood. I mean, I even bought the 3-in-1 pack for the Switch and like it just remains sealed. So I usually do my hardest gaming during this time. So maybe you calling me out on this, I'll download it sooner rather than later.
I mean, my interest, like, I love the game. I love the game so much. I bought a controller just to play it better. And then, like, I played it like a few more times. Just like kind of lost interest because FIFA came out and now Yakuza came out, which I was also going to talk about. But yeah, and again, it's like Al said, I think this time is when I'm super gonna back into gaming. So I would like to play more of that game. It's just weird because it came out and I don't know. Like some people had criticisms about it, but it just kind of like came and went. No one played it as hard as Tetris, I don't think. And personally, I like Mario a little more than Tetris, so it's just kind of crazy that no one really gave a shit. But speaking of that, Yakuza came out, part 7, Like a Dragon. Like a Dragon. And we talk about these games a lot, so I just wanted to give my little review for this game. It is the first one without the the regular characters of the Yakuza series. I think my review would have been a little more harsh if we actually recorded the show when we were supposed to last week. So it's good that it took a little while because I would have probably been real upset at myself for having some hateful words towards this series I like so much, but I will say, as far as Yakuza games go, they're all kind of slow burns. They're not games you could jump into. But I kind of like took for granted how many people haven't played the series until a lot of people on the Discord and like online always ask like, oh, what's the best one to start out with? And I forget that they have like new fans. So I was just like, oh, they're coming out with this new one that has like a whole new cast. They're probably going to come out both guns blazing. And this one's going to be as good as Yakuza 0 or something. And it's kind of not. It's kind of just like even more of a slow burn than usual Yakuza games are. Like, it doesn't even really get going until chapter 5. Like, a legit, like, 6 hours of playtime before like, it really picks up and, like, you're out of, like, tutorial mode. And, that was kind of jarring. Another thing, like, another gripe was that this is the first one that actually does feel like the map is bigger, because they've been saying that since, like, part 4. Like, oh, the map's, like, twice the size, and it never feels like that. And this map actually feels like pretty huge, but a lot of that is empty space. It's not like it's huge and there's tons more shit to do. It's just huge and you just have to run faster to places. So, you know, stuff like that. But overall, I still love it. I was just hoping it was going to be the one that just like change the game and be amazing and be the best one ever. But it's still pretty good. Like the side missions still entertain me. I like the characters in this. I like the main character a lot. I think it suits the game a lot better than Kiryu did, because this guy's kind of a goof off to begin with. So I think, you know, everybody always cites the humor of the Yakuza games is that you have this serious man doing all this goofy shit, but that kind of got old. So now it's kind of cool that there's like a goofy character. I like the element where you're like walking around with a crew and, you could have like banter with each other, and there's more than just, it makes all the millions of random fights you hate doing a little more interesting. So I like the mechanics of it. I don't think it's like the greatest Yakuza game ever. But yeah, I'm not done with it yet, but it's pretty fun. I always recommend these games. I just wouldn't recommend it as the first one. But I think Al, you picked this up too. So, or did you not? Were you just sending screenshots that you saw on the internet?
Oh, I was just stealing screenshots for sure. But shout out to Yakuza 0 and 2. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
The thing about screenshots, though, with Yakuza is, like, every time I see a couple, I'm like, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case with this one. But I did want to get your take with this new game. This is the first one with the turn-based gameplay, right? Do you like that? Because I don't ever recall you ever playing an RPG in your life.
I was saying on the Discord, like I play Pokemon, and then that's it. It's the role playing game I played. When I was like fucking younger, like when I was like a preteen and maybe like a very young teen, I played role playing games, but it's been a while. I don't mind it. I think it kind of sucks for people like me who kind of hate or don't really like role playing games, because there's a mentality that I think goes into these games that I don't get. Like, I look at the list of actions I could do, and it's like, raise your attack. And I'm like, why the fuck am I going to do that? Like, why would I ever do that? Why wouldn't I just hit the person? Like, and I think there's like a strategy to shit like that I don't understand. And Pokemon is not a difficult game where I really need to, you know, grind hard and learn that shit. So I think there's like, I could probably have an easier time with this game if I was a little more skilled at these games, but it's still fun. I think it definitely makes the random fights better for me. Like, it makes me more interested in them. And if you hate them, you could put them on auto. I only did that once because I'm too afraid that I'm going to lose if I don't do that. But it definitely makes the random fights a little better to me. There is a section though, well, at least one section that I've gotten to where you're in like, you know, a dungeon like you would be in a role playing game. And that shit took me, I think, like an hour and a half to get through. And that is a little too much for me as far as like, I think that's a little normal in other role playing games, but I was like, man, I wanted to be done with this like 45 minutes ago. So, that was a little grating, but yeah, I don't mind it, but it's mostly because I don't fucking play these games, but it's a little easier for me to swallow because it's like, they're doing cool stuff. Like, everybody has like a job. So there's like a chef guy and he blows like fire and stuff like that. It's not like they're doing fucking spells and using broadswords and shit like that. So it's a little more interesting to me.
I mean, I do play RPGs like a brute. I'm like, okay, who's the guy who's like my tank who can just fucking deal it out? who's the person that could just heal everybody, and then you have that person who's well-rounded. So that's usually my technique when playing these games. So your description of the battle system has sold me. I'll probably get it this week.
The one other thing I meant to mention about Yakuza, the whole reason I brought it up, is because the one part I do love, speaking of Pokemon, there's like it's a little spoiler alert, minor spoiler alert for this game. There's like a little tiny Pokemon sub-story where you meet like this Dr. Oak character, whatever the fuck his name is. And instead of Pokemon, you're collecting Sujimon. And this was the most perfect term for a creepy wrestling fan I've ever heard, because the guy explains to you what Sujimon are. And they're super jittery men, and they're just, and what it is all the creeps around the Yakuza areas that you beat up that are like the perverts and stuff. They're called Sujimon. So, I am very anxious for more people to play this game. So when they hear me call a wrestling fan a Sujimon, they know exactly what I'm talking about. So that is definitely my favorite part of the new Yakuza, is collecting Sujimon, because it's pretty funny. Okay, the next thing is a little update that no one on Earth is going to care about, but we mentioned it on the show years and years ago. We were talking about this wrestling promotion called Wrestling New Classic, which was owned and started by Tajiri. And I think we were like reading a Wikipedia review or something, and we found out that the wrestler Angelico wrestled there briefly as a wrestler named Backpacker Joe. And we theorized that maybe he was like an underground rapper, like an indie rapper type character, and that's why his name was Backpacker Joe. And since then, which is, legit been like at least 3 years at this point, I've been searching for Backpacker Joe footage. I've contacted Jeff Lynch, the guy who owns the most Japanese wrestling out of anybody on Earth, and he doesn't have this shit. So I finally gave up, and I asked the man himself, Angelico, what the fuck was Backpacker Joe? He didn't even really know. But no, he said he thinks it was supposed to be a tourist of Japan, and he told me to ask Tajiri, as if, Tajiri's in my Rolodex, and I could just call him up and speak Japanese to him. But, so I'm going to take his word for it. Mystery solved. Backpacker Joe was just a tourist character for Angelico.
That sucks, man. I was really dreaming of Angelico wearing a build beanie and like a hieroglyphics hoodie wrestling, but, that dream is dead.
But yeah, if anybody out there actually has footage of this, which I honestly don't think it exists, but I don't know, just hit me up, because I'd still like to see it. I have one more thing. Where'd it go? Shit. Oh, my deathmatch guy list. That's where we're going. I have this in all different places. So if you guys missed the last couple episodes, I have started top 30 deathmatch wrestler names, not their abilities or how I feel about them and their skills. So this is just the top 30 names, and this is 11 through 15, again in no particular order. The best names in deathmatch wrestling to me. First, I have Abdullah Kobayashi. This is a Japanese wrestler, first Japanese guy I've put down on the list. Everybody knows who Abdullah Kobayashi is. His name is Abdullah because he kind of looks like a Japanese Abdullah the Butcher. And just those two names together, Abdullah Kobayashi, sounds like a real serious, like, gory motherfucker. So it's a great name. Second is, I can't believe I didn't put him in the first five. It's Neil Diamond Cutter. This is a newer guy, I think. And it's pretty crazy.
That's not a real name. Yeah. Come on.
His real name is Neil Diamond Cutter, and it's not like you hear that name and you kind of expect like a comedy guy, but he's not a comedy guy. He's just a crazy deathmatch guy, and his name happens to be Neil Diamond Cutter, and that's pretty sweet.
That's a DC Kid Cash, aka dude. Come on.
I mean, it could. Maybe Neil Diamond Cutter is actually a fan of Virtual Pros, and he was like, "What would my AKA be?" Now I am going to be a deathmatch wrestler. I'm going to use that name. It could be. Who knows? I don't know much about this guy. I mean, you told me last episode that Heavy Metal Ruben Steele follows us on Instagram. I didn't know that, so it's possible Neil Diamond Cutter does too. Who knows?
Okay.
Third is another Japanese wrestler, Jackie Numazawa. This is a guy I've been putting a lot on Pain Pigs. He's I don't know what he does now, but he was at one point at least a big Japan wrestler. He teamed a lot with Jun Kasai. He sticks out. He wears face paint. He has a dumb haircut. I just think all those letters, it has a good flow to it. Jackie Numazawa. It's hard for me to remember or how to spell it, but it all looks great. It's a great name. Next is a Mexican wrestler by the name of Lunatic Fly. Lunatic is spelled with a K. I am sure by fly he means like high flyer. This guy's in zone of 23 amongst other things. But in my head, when I always see Lunatic Fly, I just imagine he's, I mean, I know what he looks like, but I just imagine he dresses up like a crazy fly. But, and that's like his thing. He's like, I'm a crazy bug, but, that's not actually it. I think he just means he's a high flyer. But when I see it written on flyers and stuff, I always just imagine he's a man who dresses like a fly. So, that's why I like it. Lastly, for, this installment is Casanova Valentine, friend of the show. He's, that's just, I think this is a little above and beyond as far as deathmatch wrestling in America, at least. I don't think they usually have these flowery names like this where, Casanova Valentine sounds like a guy that was in like, a created guy and a fictional guy in a video, like wrestling video game or something. Like he was in the original pro wrestling for NES with, those guys with their crazy names. So yeah, that's how he gets on the list. And that's, my 5 for the week.
Always a good list. Still waiting for the cocaine entry.
Oh, I think
crossing my fingers.
I think Jeff Cannonball debunked that he had a different name and he is either no longer wrestling or possibly no longer alive, one or the other. I can't remember, but yeah, he is no longer active, so he is not available for this list.
Well, I'm thinking about you, cocaine. Hope you're well out there.
That's it.
Up next, Dream Survivor Series teams. The pros get their GM on and assemble some squads for the Fall Classic. Please stay tuned.
Bitch, I'm riding in the whip with a stick on my hip. I can never switch, bitch, I'm sticking to the script. I had to take a risk, cause I really creep for shit. Since I got a little fame, people all on my dick, but I'm just doing what I'm supposed to. Yeah, I ain't doing nothing major, I'm just keeping this shit player like I'm supposed to. If you don't know, let me show you. I'm just doing how I'm supposed to. Gotta keep it player. Do so much for the city, I should be the mayor. Gotta give me credit cause I did so much labor. Lil' fly ass Asian came in with that flavor. She related to the ops, then I can't date her. Glock stay cocked on my hip like a pager. Niggas tough phone line, can't wait to see him later. Caught him outside his house but left because I seen the neighbors. Living needed help, bitch, I did it on my own. Before I leave the house, grab the strap and spray cologne. If I catch that bitch ass nigga, then it's on. Nigga,
and we're back with episode 121 of That World Champions Sound. Today's topic, Mike and I assemble our Survivor Series dream teams. Of course, it's topical because I believe Survivor Series is this Sunday. I'm going to guess your hype level for this event is probably a 1, Mike.
Yeah, man. I stopped. I mean, I've said it before. I stopped watching. I can't watch Raw. I do Pain Pigs, but it's kind of weird how I went from, I should watch it just in case there's something interesting to talk about. And now, like, I can't even imagine watching wrestling or Raw or WWE. It's like anytime I see a clip, it just seems so cringy, and I don't know. I'm definitely not watching Survivor Series. Basically,
I don't think I am either. Even though the Sasha Banks Asuka match, they're always pretty good. Sasha Banks always kind of goes for it, and there's nothing cooler in wrestling when Sasha craves death in the ring. So. Maybe I will tune into that, actually. But anyway, a pretty self-explanatory topic. Mike and I put together, assuming 3 teams.
3 teams?
For me, wait, what?
What did you say?
I made three teams. Holy shit. Did we fuck this up, Mike?
What? Oh, what did you do? Uh-oh.
All I did was make 3, I assembled 3 teams of 5.
Oh, I only did 1, man. I thought we were just gonna go back and forth with just our top 5 draft picks for our Survivor Series team.
Oh my God, Mike! How many years have we done this? This is the 5th anniversary, and we fucking botched it.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, I guess.
That's fine. That's fucking fine. Anyway, I guess I could have been a little more clear in my text. You want to do this segment at all, or what? You just want to do mixtape?
No, I mean, we can go through it. It's just kind of weird. So what did you do?
That's totally fine.
You just picked 3 teams of 5 and like made them like little categories?
Yeah, exactly, dude. I'll start off with my first one.
Okay.
This was my WWE starting 5 for 2020. I crafted this team with the idea that if like Survivor Series they went interpromotional and they had to fight AEW or New Japan, I made this team like a basketball team in a way. I'm trying to beat some ass, and so I kind of constructed this like a basketball team, like 2 superstars and like a supporting cast to back them up. I have Lesnar, Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Ricochet. I mean, Brock and Roman, like forget about it. That's like having the Twin Towers, the Spurs, like in 1997 when they won it, I believe. 98 maybe? The shortened year. The Usos, I think that's the most powerful tag team right now in the WWE. And, every basketball team needs a specialist, maybe a 3-point shooter. And I think AEW and New Japan have their high flyers in deck. So I picked Ricochet, as my specialty guy. So that was my first team.
Okay. So I looked at the text and I could see where the lines were crossed. So it makes sense now. Cause you said, favorite, Dream Survivor Series teams. And then I said, yeah, how about we do our ultimate 5-person Survivor Series team using only people that have wrestled at Survivor Series. And then you just said, I like that. So we both just did our own idea that was not the same idea. So, so I could see what happened here. I can see.
I guess I'm just going to run through mine. We could just awkwardly go to the mixtape, I suppose.
Just go through your teams, because there's some other shit I want to talk about anyways that I can work into this. So, and I'll do my one measly team I spent 2.5 weeks pining over.
Okay, well, who's your dream team then? We can go from there.
Okay. No, just go through. I want to hear the rest of yours first.
Okay, my second team was Oddities 2020. This was kind of a love letter to the Oddities from the Attitude Era, and I try to make the most visually weird team that I can make in the spirit of the Oddities. My first pick is JoJo from Total Divas, aka JoJo Wyatt, aka Jose Offerman's daughter. I was just so shocked that she participated in the Survivor Series. I just always thought she was an announcer. I guess the kicker would be, because she's like a completely like good looking girl, the kicker would be is that she'd have to bring that miniature horse that allegedly Bray Wyatt is paying for instead of alimony. Allegedly. I heard that on the internet. 2 through 3 is the Bushwhackers dressed as Doink. Luke Doink and Butch Doink. I do not recall this ever happening. And I guess Men on a Mission dressed up as Doink too. Do you remember seeing this?
I do vaguely remember this, and I think it was not as cool as it sounds, if I recall correctly.
I saw a photo of it and I was like, if the search engine on the network worked, I would look this up and enjoy it, but I don't think that's possible. Number 4 is Bret Hart in a singlet. He did this with his brothers Bruce, Keith, and Owen. And, I'm all about, having family solidarity, but Bret Hart in his singlet is like the all-time worst look for Bret Hart. Like, this looked big trash. I hated this look. And to round it out was James Ellsworth, because look at him. Definite oddity. My last one, of course I was going to put together a team for my Asian sisters, and that would be the Jumping Bomb Angels, Io Shirai, Aja Kong, and Asuka. If this is any surprise to you, I guess you haven't listened to Vrtl Pros long enough. I think the idea behind this team was to assemble a cast that spanned multiple generations, and I think I did a decent job here. I would have bet that Bull Nakano made at least one Survivor Series team, but she did not. With that said, I have the time to tell everyone, if they haven't seen it already, to run back the 1995 Survivor Series and watch some wild ass shit go down with Lioness Asuka, Saki Hasegawa, Kyoko Inoue, and the aforementioned Aja Kong. That match is fucking crazy. There's like so many All Japan level head drops, and it is weird to see that level of like brutality in 1995.
Yeah, so I just did my one stupid team, and it was I just picked like my 5 all-time best people that I like that were in the Survivor Series, and I'm very happy that they are all actually in a Survivor Series match because I didn't really set out to do that, but they all were. Because I always forget that. I'll get into it, but in my eyes, I always forget that they still do 5-on-5 teams. Like every once in a while, like I feel like that's in my head. It stopped in like 1995, but it went on for way longer. But first is my number 1 draft pick for anything, and that's Vader. He was obviously in the mid 90s Survivor Series. I don't think he had good luck in the Survivor Series, but he was definitely in there. And of course, then my second draft pick would be Psycho Sid. Again, not really utilized well in the WWF, but obviously this is my all-time best guys list. Third is Bam Bam Bigelow, which looking over this, he's kind of like sneakily in many Survivor Series. This guy was in the first one. I think he was in the main event of the first one, and I think he just like got lower and lower on the card since the first one. But it's pretty wild how many Survivor Series matches this dude has been in. Fourth is not a guy at all. It's the aforementioned Aja Kong. I'm going with all powerhouses here, so I have to have Aja Kong on here. But the fifth one is not a powerhouse, so I was going to go with kind of a smaller powerhouse. And the first name that came to mind is a man that's in the afterlife right now, doing God knows what, Chris Benoit. And I was like, that's kind of bad taste. Probably shouldn't pick Chris Benoit. And then I thought of another man in the afterlife, Dynamite Kid. Also kind of bad taste. So I, it's close to the holidays and I didn't want to make this kind of doom and gloom. So I went with another man in the afterlife, a little less bad taste, Eddie Guerrero. He's a beloved guy. I think he would round out a great team of powerhouses with cheating to win. Outside of shared brutality, my second favorite way for wrestlers to win is by cheating. So this works out. This is my dream Survivor Series team. No real thing outside of that. That was it. But I was gonna say that I do kind of. How are your feelings of the whole Survivor Series gimmick? Were you into it as a kid? Do you miss it now? How do you feel about it?
I've always have been down with Survivor Series, man. And in the past couple of years, it's been a pretty sneaky good pay-per-view. I remember the one year where it was Team Raw versus SmackDown, and that match went legit 59 minutes. And for whatever reason, I was on the edge of my fucking seat, dude. But in terms of when I was a kid, yeah, it was something I would look forward to. I think the best team I ever saw as a kid, I think it had to have been the Road Warriors, Warrior and Texas Tornado.
Yeah.
But then there was also fucking Demolition, Hogan, and Jake Roberts. And man, if those two faced off in my head, man, what a match.
Yeah, that's what I mostly miss about the Survivor Series is the old version where it's just the way WWE set up now. You can't really do it as well as you did back then. Obviously having a name for your team is kind of cartoony and whatever, but back then they only had 4 pay-per-views, so they had months to build it up. So you would get a solid month and a half at least, at the very least, of these dudes hanging out and talking shit to the other teams. Or sometimes there's unlikely people on the team. They're I don't know why I got roped in with you guys. And they don't have that anymore because there's I think the one Survivor Series match they have this year, they haven't even named all 5 people on each team yet. And it's it happens this weekend. So you don't get that anymore. And that's why I was thinking if we ever did another trade proposal episode, I think one of my trades would be, AEW gets the rights to the Survivor Series. Cause I think they have less pay-per-views. They're a little more wacky and a little more open to kind of cartoony shit. So I could see them having a really good Survivor Series type thing. But yeah, I really like the gimmick. I just don't think there's a way to do it anymore where it's not just some last minute shit. And I think you really needed to let these guys marinate with each other. And then you're just I can't wait to see these fucking people face off. Before it got fucked up, when it was the Hearts versus Jerry Lawler, and you're man, I can't wait to see the Hearts fuck up Jerry Lawler and his fucking, but then it became Shawn Michaels because Jerry Lawler did a little diddling that he wasn't supposed to be doing. But either way, they just built shit up and they don't really do that anymore.
Well, this segment was brought to you by WWE. Tune into Survivor Series on Sunday. You'll be seeing Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton, champion versus champion. I'm just kidding. I'm pumped about it though, man. Now I'm gonna watch it for real. Even though, like, I do like the idea of SmackDown versus Raw, even though rosters don't mean shit nowadays. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it definitely was cooler when we were kids. But I feel like a lot of big moments have happened in Survivor Series that people kind of forget about.
I mean, they still do treat it. It's not like King of the Ring, they've completely made like a bastard stepchild at this point. King of the Ring was like, up there. It's probably like my top 3 pay-per-views. And now it's just like a thing. At least Survivor Series, they still try and have like big matches for it just because it's like this traditional thing. So it'll never be like a completely shit pay-per-view, but I do miss the teams. And they had I think they only did it 1 or 2 years, the Ultimate Survivor, where all the survivors from each good guy and bad guy side wrestled each other at the end. If they could do shit like that today, it would be great.
Well, that was our segment. I thought it worked out pretty well for the most part.
It was fine. People just want to hear us blab. They just want to make their days better at work. You heard the emails. It's fine.
That's fine with me, man. That's totally cool. We're here to put smiles on faces. That was the goal for Virtual Pros. Up next, the world famous mixtape with Elix Skipper, Alundra Blaze, more card talk, my favorite, and our number one wrestler of the moment, Giant Baba. Please stay tuned.
It's not that I don't want you here. Yeah. It's something about the way you stare into my eyes. I know that I don't make things clear. No. I fall for you every time I try to resist you. We can get away. Palm trees, beach views, ordinary day. All I wanna hear is in the visions I replay. Sit right next to you. I try not to show how I feel about you. You wish you would. We don't really want to. I just wanna get away. Sit right next to you.
Okay, we are back here on Virtual Pros episode 121. This is the mixtape segment. Each episode, we find some matches on YouTube. We put them on our playlist, which you can find on YouTube at Virtual Pros Mixtape, or just subscribe to us via RTL Pros on YouTube. And each episode, we both pick a couple matches, and we talk about them, or things. Don't have to be matches. My first match of the episode is Giant Baba. I told you guys, I'm riding out the 2020 Giant Baba. Speaking of which, I don't know, I don't know if we're going to have another this might be the last episode in November. I don't know if it's the last episode of the year, but, well, I think it has to be mathematically now the last episode in November. We'll get to it. We'll hopefully hear you again in 2020, or you guys will hear it from us in 2020, but I'm not sure. Gotta see. Gotta look at the...
I do think that we'll have one more episode for 2020, and that'll be the gift buyer's guide that we always do.
Okay,
we can wrap up on that.
So there you go. So we're the home stretch of Giant Baba episodes. So I wanted to get this one out of the way. Is Giant Baba versus Abdul the Butcher from 1971, Japan Wrestling Association. I mostly want to do this match because it's from 1971, and this has got to be the oldest wrestling match I've ever seen in my life. I've never watched anything this old. I think previously we watched like a British match from the late 70s or maybe the mid 70s years ago on here, but 1971, I don't know, man. When I was little, my uncle had like a shitload of wrestling tapes and a shitload of old wrestling, and I don't think he had anything that went back this far. So I just wanted to watch it to be like, yo, I watched a wrestling match from 1971. With that said, pretty good film quality from 1971. I watched tons of archival footage of all different kinds, all day. That's all I do is watch old shit all day. And, for this being from 1971 in a wrestling match, this is a pretty amazing quality, and it's on YouTube. So whoever ripped it has it probably even better quality, which is crazy to me because there's shit you can't find from 2008 in this good a quality. So it's pretty insane. Both wrestlers not known for being fast because this only grandpas remember 1971. That was a very long time ago. So they're not known for being fast. Relatively fast here. Both wrestlers, relatively fast. I wouldn't say they're speed demons, but this is definitely the absolute fastest I've ever seen either of these guys move. So that's pretty cool. Outside of that, this is not much of a match. It's 14 minutes. And about 5 of those minutes are the match. And it's pretty crazy to me because this is 1971, not much to do outside. There's very little to do in entertainment back then. This is seemingly the main event of this card. I think it's like, it might even be like their version of like a champion carnival or something because there's a trophy at the end. And I didn't see any cuts. I don't think this was clipped. I'm pretty sure this was a full match, and it was like 5 minutes. And, I think anytime you hear of an old match, you'll see the runtime, and it's always like 48 minutes. So I don't know the workings of wrestling back then, but I was very shocked to see this match over so quickly as a main event, because it's just like, I don't know, it seems like people would be fucking upset back then that they wasted their time watching a 4-minute match. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a historian. And the match, it's so short, I don't mind spoiling it. The match ends with Abdul the Butcher doing the most athletic move I've ever seen him do, which was running from the corner into the other corner to deliver a running elbow drop. And he misses, and then Giant Baba just pins him. Like, that was it. That's all it took was Abdul the Butcher to miss, fairly remedial move in 2000 and whatever. And even in the 80s, it was a remedial move. And that's all it took, and Giant Baba pinned him. I mean, outside of that, there was some bloody brawling, so it wasn't just like chops and then the pin. So there was a little meat to this. And then, it just ends in like a weird ceremony where they give Giant Baba a trophy. But, it's from 1971. I don't know what to judge this against. This might have been the most action-packed match ever to happen in 1971. I don't think it was, because I feel like what I've been searching through, these guys have wrestled a lot in the early to mid 70s. So I don't know, but, outside of watching it and being like, oh wow, this is good film quality, there's probably not much to watch this. So jury's still out on Giant Baba. I don't know if he can do it all or not.
So, my first note is that this has to be one of the all-time worst referee kits. This is like the complete opposite of the Gaia bike officer referee outfit. It's like, Mike makes this joke, but he legit looks like he works at Jiffy Lube. He has like a red shirt on and like black slacks. And, like, they just like grab this guy off the street. It's not a good look. But watching Giant Baba run awkwardly, like, made me remember that he actually started off his pro sports career as a baseball player. And I was like, what fucking position did Giant Baba play where he could run like this? And sure enough, he was a pitcher for the Yomiuri Giants. And, he wasn't just a pitcher. He went 12-1 his rookie year and won the NPB Best Pitcher Award. And so I think this is just another example of a Giant Baba being able to do it all. My last bullet point is that the finish to this match, Mike talked about it, is pretty fucking hilarious. And I do think that it would be something that would be welcome in modern wrestling. It's like when you miss your Ultra in Street Fighter. Like, if you whip that shit, I get to fucking punish you. Or in this case, just like pin you nonchalantly. And I'm not going to front. It took me like 9 times to watch this match in full. So I can't really recommend it. It was pretty boring. But that was my only takeaway. It was pretty boring. My first match of the night is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Elix Skipper. This was in TNA. I didn't grab the year. I'll just say before 2005.
I think it was 2005.
Boom, on the fucking... I'm the best. Anyway, this was suggested by Redacted in the Discord, so shout out to you. It is kind of rad to hear Subconscious again after a while, but Mike, was the rap version of Shinsuke's WWE theme the beginning of the end for the King of Strong Style?
I mean, I guess it really worked out that way. I think what really was the beginning of the end is this match reminded me, because they say it on commentary, that I think Shinsuke is like 43 right now, so I think that's really the beginning of the end.
Speaking of theme songs, Elix Skipper, his is like really, really fucking weird. Like really weird. It's like him just cackling over some instrumental that someone made when Fruity Loops came out and then imploring people to say his name. It's really fucking odd, trust me. But not much to really draw from this clip because it's cut down to 4 minutes, with intros included, mind you. So it's really like a 2-minute, part of wrestling. So we only got to see like a really clean front flip into the ring clothesline from Elix Skipper and then a landslide from Nakamura. But on paper, like I like this matchup a lot and I'd like to see it in full. I mean, I like Elix Skipper for the 7 times I've seen him and, I love Nakamura. So I thought this was okay. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm glad Al said this was Nakamura's previous song because I heard it and I was like, I think this is an old song, but I haven't heard it in so long. Maybe it's just some generic Asian guy music that Impact has used over and over again. So I'm glad to get confirmation that it actually was his old song. I'm pretty surprised they had it here because he is just basically, I mean, they're touting him as at the time the IWGP champion. So I guess maybe they did have to give him his music, but you think they would just give him the generic wind flute music because, you know, who really, it's on fucking, this isn't even on the real Impact show. This is on Explosion. Speaking of which, this is not really much of a match as Al, reported because it's 4 minutes and that's including everything. And it's crazy because at the beginning of the match, whoever, I think Mike Tenay says, this is our match of the week. This is our main event. I've never watched Explosion, but I think it's a web show. I don't think it's long, but at the same time, what the fuck are you doing where your main event of your TV show is 4 minutes clipped? Like, what was so important on the rest of Explosion that you cut down the main event, which features like a world champion? So it's kind of shitty, man, because I don't think it's like whoever uploaded this video. I think it was uploaded by Impact. Like, why is this match so fucking short? So that's just typical, I think, dumb TNA shit where they're just like, who cares? No one watches Explosion. We'll just cut the match down for 2 minutes. I'm sure there was nerds back then that were fucking really bummed about it. But yeah, like, what the fuck, man? Like, it's like, release the whole thing. You own it. Just release the whole thing. My last match is, from WWF, Alundra Blaze and Kyoko Inoue versus Aja Kong and Tomoko Watanabe. This was, right after the Survivor Series that Al mentioned, 1995. This was like a couple weeks after. I can't remember if Raw was live back then, so this might have been like film, like recorded before Survivor Series or something, but this was if anybody even remembers when these women were in WWF, even in my head they kind of just disappeared after Survivor Series, so it's good to see that they stuck around for at least a couple more weeks. The first thing I need to mention about this match is that I can't remember the exact name of the YouTube channel, but it's just like WWE Women's Wrestling. And I gotta say, the person who made this channel tried to make it as much as possible look like an actual YouTube channel run by WWE. And first, your lazy brain would say, oh, he's doing that they're doing that because, they just, like, people see it and they'll be like, oh, I want to watch this because it's legit. Like, this is legit shit. And it gets more eyes on the channel, which doesn't make any sense because I don't think you can monetize this. But I think the galaxy brain is that he made his channel look like this. So when WWE goes to take shit down, they'll just be like, I think this is one of our channels. This channel looks pretty legit. So hats off to you, WWE Women's Wrestling Channel. I know your secret. You're just hiding. You're hiding in plain sight. That's what you're doing. And I think that's great. This whole entire match is like just it is just an insult parade. Like, it's just a racist insult parade, and it is insane. I couldn't even write down every horrible thing that's said. One of the first ones is when they announced Kyoko Inoue. Jerry Lawler says she's the one that got the Beatles back together, right? It's a Yoko Ono joke for you younger people out there. That's super racist. Another highlight, if you could call it that, is they show a little bigger woman in the crowd Jerry Lawler says, that's Aja Kong's American counterpart, King Kong. It is fucking insane you can get away with that. Like, at any point, I mean, I know, like I said, I watch a lot of old stuff all day. I know how racist things get. But when you're insulting your audience like that, I just can't imagine like that flying at all anymore, where you just straight up insult somebody who paid top dollar to be in front row. And you just had, I don't know, man. This is fucking simpler times, as they would say. There's this really weird part where I don't know. I think like fucking, I don't know what happens, but Vince McMahon goes off into a trance and he starts saying that Aja Kong may have an extra chromosome and that no, not Aja Kong. It's, I think he's talking about Kyoko Inoue, and he says she might have an extra chromosome and she's shaped like a smo. And I don't know what the hell, I don't know what the hell that means. Like,
me neither. I was so confused.
I don't know. Like, it's a weird moment. They also announced that, Mr. Perfect is going to be on AOL tonight. So that's good to know. That's, how in its infancy, the, World Wide Web was, where it was a big deal if someone used it. They'd just be like, yo, Mr. Perfect is signing on tonight. And people are like, holy shit, man, I gotta check that out. They honestly must have had some kind of bullet points for all of the horrible racist insults they had, because the match is clearly wrapping up. Aja Kong is dropping people just straight up on their head and slapping the shit out of them. And Vince McMahon is trying to shoehorn in the longest condom joke that makes no sense, and they're just like they're just speeding it up, trying to say it before the match is over, and it's so shitty. I mean, overall, honestly, this is like in modern eyes, you're watching this match, it's fine. It's not the best match ever, but this was probably the best match on Raw all month. Probably. I mean, it's like I said, it's not spectacular, but just for the fact that what was on Raw in 1995. So it's worth watching. But it's tough to get through just because of all the commentary. But yeah, it's a decent women's match, especially for 1995 WWF.
Alundra Blaze and Kyoko Inoue. That is definitely going on the white and Asian person wrestling t-shirt. That's in the works for Virtual Pros. I love this pairing so much. Yeah, dude, Mike already talked about the commentary, but a little under 2 minutes in, and we already have a bulimia joke from Jerry Lawler. Just simpler times. But yeah, like, there's a lot of like Princess Diana commentary and like safe sex talk. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And match wise, I thought this was pretty good. Like, Aja Kong kills Inoue with the Saito suplex. And with that, like, I'll walk back all my Saito suplex slander that I was giving out last episode. And that was all good. Aside from Alundra Blaze being a horrible tag team partner and just alligator arming the save after watching her friend Kyoko Inoue get put to fucking sleep. I think this was under like 6 or 7 minutes.
Yeah.
I think Small Doink had said that that one match we watched, Daisuke Ikeda versus Ogawa, was one of the best sub 10-minute matches ever. This match is better than that one.
I don't know if I would say, I don't think I would say that, but yeah. It's for WWF at the time period. It's definitely very good.
My last video of the night is it's titled 5 Trading Card Tips Video. I think it's actually called 5 Trading Card Tips Video. And it's hosted by a man, and he leads off with a very serious disclaimer at the beginning of the video. He states that he's not a financial advisor, presumably to absolve himself if someone decides to shove their life savings on Alexa Bliss cards. And that's very smart. So I'm going to sit up and watch this video. So to cut to the shit, here are the 5 trading card tips that he gives out verbatim. 1, autographs. 2, buying a complete set. 3, buying sealed product. 4, buying graded rookies and legends. And 5, he calls this outside investments. With regards to 1 and 4, like, no shit, right? Like, people wait at airport gates to get autographs. So it kind of goes without saying, you should chase autographs if you can. And, also with regards to grading, because these days it takes like almost a year, to get your card back from like PSA or a Beckett's. So that's pretty good advice. Number 2, I never thought about that with regards to buying a complete set to cherry pick who you want to get. It's not a technique I've ever tried, but I guess if you could pull it off, go for it. Number 3 is actually super smart, and that's buying and holding sealed product. And this was kind of a flex because he shows off his sealed 1998 Topps WCW NWO card set, and some of those autographs are going for like stupid money. I think I saw a Hulk Hogan one go for like close to 1.5, and that's fucking nuts. And I know like holding basketball these days, for example, is like the smart move. Like if you hold the Luka box set for Prism, I think that set is going for like close to $3 or $4 grand now, and it probably sold for like $300 when it was first released. So not a bad technique. But number 5, outside investments. That's the one that had me cracking up because like, listen, if you have something valuable in 2020, like Nikes or Supreme or anything like that, do not pivot any of that money into buying wrestling cards like this guy suggests. That's fucking stupid. He also suggests maybe picking up a second work shift or a second job to afford wrestling cards. Again, not a good idea. Don't do that. But overall, this video, I do think gives pretty decent advice that could carry over into other kinds of collectibles. But I would just say, don't think you're ever going to kill it in wrestling cards because that's just not going to happen. It's not basketball. Even though, here's my tip for people that are into possibly investing in wrestling cards, buy Rhea Ripley because I think she's going to be next up.
Yeah, kind of like Al said, I wrote down that he's got a point, but also kind of no shit for most of this. But at the same time, maybe he's aiming this towards people who don't otherwise collect wrestling cards. It kind of makes sense because what I do like about this is he kind of has a condescending tone when he mentions other sports cards. Like when he talks about stupid basketball cards or something, like he's always just like very condescending. You could tell wrestling is his main thing. So maybe he is really trying to educate people who maybe don't collect wrestling cards. That complete set thing, that makes sense. That's, I mean, for wrestling, I don't think that makes sense for everything, but, like even those BBM, like those True Heart cards, you could buy a complete set for probably cheaper than you can if you just bought the cards you wanted a la carte. So it makes sense. The part, there's whatever part advice it is for the grading. His example is an Ivan Koloff card, which is graded 4.5. I'm not a big card guy. I caught in the tail end of grading. And I was a comic person at the time, and I am a record collector. If you have 4.5 anything, it's not worth anything. Like, what was it? Unless that fucking Ivan Koloff card was from like 1897. Like, come on, dude, 4.5. I watch fucking Steve MRE 1989. This dude is pulling out 150-year-old rations that are pristine. And like, you have like a card that's 45 years old with a 4.5 on it. Come on, dude.
For a card to get a 4.5, like you would literally have to like wipe your ass with it to get that low of a score.
Yeah, I think he got fleeced, man. Like you can't really tell. He doesn't hold it close up, but it would have to have like a tear going down the middle for a 4.5. It's kind of ridiculous. Like Al said, last tip, not very good. Not a very good tip. I can see that when he made this video, he had 4 decent tips, and then he was like, top 4 doesn't sound good. I guess he'll do a top 5, because his tip of buying other things to placate buying wrestling cards is very weird. It probably should be the other way around if you wanted to even go to that extreme, but not vice versa. What I did look around this guy's channel, because, it did seem that he was dedicated to wrestling cards, probably more than a lot of people are. And I did think it was cool. He has a series on his channel where he makes his own Project 2020 cards, which is the Topps. Topps has these like limited baseball cards for people who don't know, or like that are like art cards, but with baseball, like legendary baseball players. His designs are not very good. I don't think he's like a graphic designer, but I do like the idea of that, like making your own Project 2020 cards like that. So that's cool. But if you're into wrestling cards or whatever, check out his channel. It's not as good as the Kiss card guy that I've featured in Pain Pigs, even though can't remember that guy's, something like the Wolf Den or something like that. That guy, you know, who his card collection is really impressive. That's what I was really looking for. I couldn't tell by the titles, but I want to see what this guy's working with here, like that, what he thinks is so valuable since he had that 4.5 Ivan Koloff. But even in the Project 2020 thing, he's referencing wrestling cards that I never even fucking knew existed. Like, there's just like the most insane shit he's talking about. So I would like to search a little more to see what his collections is like.
That was Virtual Pros, episode 121. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTLPros. Subscribe to us on iTunes and Spotify. Chat with us on our Discord. No cops, please. And if you have any burning questions or recommendations for the Virtual Pros mixtape, hit us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. Mike, any last words before we take this break into December?
Hey, thanks for listening. Happy holidays. Fucking stay at home, you motherfuckers.
Cosign. See you guys in 1 month.